look, there are stocks like Tesla. I don't know. What happens if he quits?
Tesla's an interesting one today. We saw more video over the weekend of protests in Tulsa and San Antonio and Sacramento. UBS today cuts to 225. They're already at a sell. Jim, right. 244 is a 50% drawdown from the December high, and we're a couple bucks above now.
Okay, let's take a Dan Ives strategy. I wear Brioni. He wears Kmart. I don't know. Maybe he just got those before Kmart closed. I can't find Kmart closed anymore. But what he's saying is, look, maybe at a certain point you should view it as the humanoid, okay, the extraneous business. And yes, of course, they've got the best data for autonomous driving. And if people think that we're not going to have autonomous driving within the next 10 years here, they should look at China or they look at San Francisco. So, do I want to buy Tesla? Or there's so many people who want to sell it that I kind of let's let them sell. And it's another thing, people at home. There are people who want to sell it at 247. Why? Because they think they're going to be able to buy it back at 238. They don't want to leave Tesla. But that's, again, the strategy of losers, not winners.
Well, it's not that far above the price it was at on S&P inclusion. Wow. So now you're dealing with people who got in the low 200s.
Holy cow. I mean, well, you just don't believe that. You just believe they're going to miss. There were 2 sells on it today.
Yeah.
And look, do I like it here? No. It's going lower. Right. My point is that at a certain point, it's going to be down 4, 5, 6 straight weeks. Maybe he changes his mind. Maybe he steps out. Maybe he spends more time.
Tesla posing its 7th straight week of declines. It is its longest losing streak on record. Shares are now trading at their lowest level since the election. It is the worst performing stock in the S&P 500 so far this year. Baird's Ben Callow joins us now. Ben has an outperform rating on Tesla, but lowered his price target to $370 a share from $440. Ben, it's good to have you on. So pull this apart for us a little bit. So this stock's been cut in half. It's really not up much from where it entered the S&P 500 over 4 years ago. But yet still has this very full valuation. You thought there would be some negative fundamental catalysts in the short term, yet you still have an outperform. How are we supposed to think about the stock right here?
So very tactically, we made a call that numbers are too high for Q1. And really on the back of rolling out the new Model Y. And so think about it as 300,000 Model Ys are sold a quarter. And as they've been ramping that up across the 4 factories, they have been slower than we had thought. And so basically you lose 2 months of production time. And now with the background noise of people worrying about demand, I think that intensifies when they miss these street numbers out there. They are well above 400,000. I think they need to come below 400,000, probably more like 350. We're at 380 some, but it's going to continue to perpetuate the narrative of Musk destroying demand out there.
Yeah, well, is that just noise and just a narrative, or is that actually observably happening right here?
Well, I think that, when people's cars are in jeopardy of being keyed or, set on fire out there, even people that support Musk or are indifferent to Musk might think twice about buying a Tesla. It's too early to know. But I do think that with the production ramp impacting deliveries, that's the bigger thing that will continue that narrative of, demand at risk. And so I think that we have, at least a couple months until we determine if, he's attracting more buyers or losing more buyers, which I've seen the argument out there from my fellow analysts all over the place. But there's a lot of uncertainty here. Very plausible, that the demand is being destructed. I would say in Europe, even more plausible. But the bigger thing right now is numbers are too high because of production and need to come down.
Ben, are you looking for positive deliveries for the full year?
I think that, after this, it's going to be difficult after the first quarter. Now, they are coming out with a lower price vehicle sometime, I think, in the summer. That should help, but we're going to be in the same kind of situation where ramping up production becomes an issue again, and it's going to be slower. And so, this demand narrative is going to just continue throughout the year, is what I think.
And do you think the lower cost model will kind of shift the revenue base in the sense that it's helpful maybe for volume as people kind of trade down to the cheaper model as opposed to buying up for the Model S or 3 or so forth?
It's a good question. It's going to make it more choppy. Just as you said, it's going to bring down the total ASP for the company as you introduce that lower price vehicle. It's also going to create another margin headwind as you ramp it up throughout the rest of the year. So numbers are going to be choppy. Now, Tesla sometimes is more of a story stock and trades on the narrative. Like it is right now, but numbers will matter at some point, and I think this could be choppy in the second half of the year too.
Yeah, well, certainly the narrative future piece is a bigger chunk of the valuation all the time, it seems. All right, Ben, hey, appreciate the time today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, despite Elon Musk's obligations in D.C., he's been growing his empire abroad, particularly in China. Eunice Yoon joins us from Beijing with more. Hey, Eunice.
Hey, Leslie. Well, in China, it's hard not to be reminded of Elon Musk's success, as I found out in Shanghai. That is Tesla's main factory. It's a $2 billion investment that produces about 1 million cars a year. 1 out of every 2 Teslas in the world are made there. By last June, Elon Musk's EV maker had 520 stores in the country. Tesla sold more than 650,000 cars last year, roughly a third of global sales, thanks to stores like the one behind me. The Shanghai store is Tesla's largest in China. It spans 1.5 football fields. Tesla's latest Model Y, codenamed Juniper, is on display. As a testament to the importance of the China market, this new Model Y was launched here before the U.S. Only weeks after Musk started his work with the U.S. government, Tesla opened this new operation in China, a $200 million power pack factory. Last year, it showcased its Cybertruck humanoid robot. Musk pitched his Cybercabs on a trip where he met the Chinese premier. And to compete with Chinese car makers like this one testing autonomous driving, Tesla rolled out a software update in February, meant to closely mimic its full self-driving features in the U.S. I'm in a robotaxi. I'm on a route that's been approved for an initial group of companies to be able to experiment with their self-driving technologies. Tesla isn't one of them. That's why Musk tries to stay in the Chinese government's good graces. He's opposed U.S. tariffs on Chinese EVs, as he did to CNBC at an event in Paris.
Neither Tesla nor I asked for these tariffs.
Musk has made favorable comments about China's unification with Taiwan.
There's some inevitability to the situation.
A far cry from wielding a chainsaw at the U.S. government. The White House, Doge, and Tesla did not respond to our request for comment. Guys?
Eunice, there's an item on the wires right now from the China's Passenger Car Association arguing in their words that Elon Musk's increasing involvement in politics could be damaging the brand. I wonder how widely that view is held in China.
Well, it really depends on who you ask. The view of him generally is that he is pro-China because of his past statements and that he's a practical businessman. In fact, all day today, people have been talking about how Elon Musk was holding the handbag of Susie Wiles. There was a video of it, and people were saying that, oh, this really goes to show that he knows how to manage the right people. But in terms of how the public is responding more broadly, Tesla buyers generally aren't bothered by the fact that he has this close relationship with Trump or that he's doing a lot of work with the U.S. government. In fact, they're more excited about the new Model Y. But when you ask factory workers, which we did, of Tesla, they told us privately that they were concerned about his work with the U.S. government and all of this controversy around it because they were worried that the sales overseas was going to affect the shipments out of the Shanghai factory. And that could, in turn, hurt their job prospects. And so they were telling us they're kind of hoping that he's going to focus on the business since he's a businessman.
Do begin with you today. This is the worst day in some 4.5 years for Tesla.
And remember all those gains after the election that Tesla was racking up and people were like, wow, it's going to the moon. No, all of those have been erased. They're completely gone now. Take a look at shares of Tesla, down more than 15% today. Look at this. If you go back to December 17th, down 51%. Look, they're down with the entire market. But if you had to point to a catalyst today, you might look at the UBS note that came out. Joe Spack is the analyst there, reiterating a sell rating, cutting the 25 EPS estimate from UBS to 202 was 316. That's what they were previously expecting, or 315 from Tesla. Also lowering the Q1 delivery estimate. UBS now believes that for all of 2025, Tesla deliveries globally will be down 5% at 1.7 million. They had a slight decline last year. They're saying it's going to get worse this year and go down to 1.7 million. By the way, the street estimate, at least this morning, was higher than that. Don't be surprised if more analysts follow and perhaps cut their estimates as well. As you take a look at Tesla over the last year, we should point out that UBS also lowered its price target for Tesla down to $225 from $259. Well, if you bought in now, you might get $3 if you hit that price target. But it's a rough and ugly day, Scott.
I mean, Phil, you've seen the pictures all over the country, too, in some major cities. The protests around Tesla dealerships matched up against that stock chart.
Right. And we've talked about this before, Scott. You have to look at Tesla two ways. One is the automotive part of the business, the EV part of the business. That is clearly facing headwinds and challenges. The reason that this stock ran up after the election is because you believed in Elon Musk's close proximity to Donald Trump, making things easier on the regulatory front. You believed in their AI exposure, robotics, autonomous vehicle technology. That's the reason that the bulls are still with Tesla, to the extent that there are people who are saying, yeah, get past this sell-off because we'll go back up at some point.
Please leave a like on this video so more people will see it. And while you're down there, please consider subscribing. It's free, and you can always change your mind. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video.